I would like to call upon Manoj Agarwal from Zozo Day. He's going to talk about partnership hacks for SaaS companies. Manoj?
Hi, everyone. In the next 15-20 minutes, I will discuss what are the various ways of partnering with channel partners and a lot of other stakeholders you can come across in businesses, and then how do you scale your business through partnerships. This is something which we have used in our business a lot. These are ways where you can scale up your business without spending too much of money, and at the same time, the kind of risk you go through in terms of the ROIs are kind of mitigated. So we will discuss, and please feel free to ask any questions throughout the discussion. Now, every organization today is kind of struggling with this problem, that you get likes from your customers, but what you need is love. Because typically in a digital product environment, you don't have too much of differentiation between your competition. Every day there is a new competition. The time to market products is very, very small. Your consumer is very fickle-minded. The attention span of that guy is very, very less compared to what it was maybe 15 years back. If we talk about typical offline businesses like maybe a steel or maybe a factory, there the entry barriers were very high because it was very capital intensive. You required the right kind of resources. You required the right kind of expertise. But when you talk about technology businesses, if you have the right guys to build the product, and if you have the right idea, you can kind of develop it and go to market. And most of the products look very similar to each other. You talk about products into any kind of domains. Customer is not able to differentiate a lot between one product versus the other product. And another big challenge which the modern economy is facing, especially in digital products, is the monopolistic businesses which are coming up. So when you talk about a Google or a Facebook or a Microsoft, all these guys are like platform businesses. And they are eating away a lot of other small businesses because they are able to deliver it in much better way. They have that right ecosystem, the right kind of integrations, both forward as well as backward. So competing with large players, typically these monopolies is becoming tougher and tougher. And that is the reason you should talk about what is the importance of channel partnerships. Now, this is a very cliched topic. Philip Kotler talked about it in every marketing session. These are the 4 P's of marketing, but what is the most important and often neglected piece is the place. Now, typically founders and most of the people in a startup or any company typically end up talking about product, price, and promotion. So they talk about my product should be the best product, it should be priced very well, I should have the best price advantage, and then it should be advertised very, very well. Now, what is often neglected, and maybe because people generally feel that channel partnerships are more of an offline world phenomena, but that is something which is very wrong. Channel partnerships and distribution through your different kind of partners is something which works very, very well in the online world, in the world of digital products. And that is something which every company should actually try for. Now, connecting back with my previous slide, what is your best differentiator when you talk about competing in today's world? It is how you create love for your product. And one way of creating love for your product is you have an awesome product and then you back it up with the right kind of marketing. But marketing generally requires good amount of money because then there are everyone else who is doing the marketing. And there are people who are putting shitload of money to kind of reach out to that customer. So how do you build these kind of things organically? One is you can do some kind of small hacks in terms of marketing, like maybe a content insertion, maybe some kind of a co-promotion here and there. But if you are able to tap in the right partners at the right time, then you can reach out to a lot of people across geographies without spending too much of efforts and without spending too much of money. And that is where you can actually reach out to the long tail of customers. So for example, if you have your own sales team, and then I'm talking about younger companies who may not be able to afford a large sales team. Now, when you have very few people in your sales teams, you will actually expect ROIs from each one of them. Otherwise, you won't be able to pay up their salaries after a long time. Now, in such a scenario, how do you reach out to a large customer base which might be sitting out in some location, maybe within India or maybe outside India? How do you reach out to the long tail of customers? Because your sales might be reaching out to only to a specific set of customers which they are able to kind of connect, maybe generate the lead, meet them, and kind of convert them. So this is where you can actually create a decent brand reach for your products without actually spending the real hard cash, because when you work with channel partners, most of the times you pay them when there is a success. You generally don't pay channel partners when it is just about awareness. And that works very well for smaller companies because you don't have any fixed cost in building the channel partners. Now, one of the most important things when you talk about partnering with channels is timing. Now, if you talk about a lot of companies, even before they build the right product, they start doing a lot of marketing. I would suggest that once your product is ready, once it can be really used by an end customer, that is the time when you should start marketing. Don't kind of get distracted just because that somebody else or your competition is doing a lot of marketing or a lot of efforts on reaching out to the customers. You don't need to follow that. Once you're confident that your product is doing good and it can really sell well, that is the time when you should kind of accelerate your efforts on marketing. Because if the timing is wrong, then the same customer whom you might have reached out when your product was not ready may not be ready to listen to you when your product is doing awesome. Second is keep your product simple if you have to work with channel partners, because if your product is too complex, then it's really tough for those guys to kind of market it for you. It's easy to sell easy products with not so many features. They are able to kind of connect with the product much faster. And before you work out with other partners, have you done it yourself? Has your sales team actually cracked some of the sales themselves? Because you can't be going out to channel partners and ask them to do it for you if you've not done it yourself. So if you have done some 6 to 10 or 20 sales from your internal teams, that is the time when you should kind of look out for accelerating the partner sales. Now, one good example was New Relic, which is an APM company. Somewhere around 2012, they worked with the US health website. Now, that was the tipping point for them because what they did for them was talk of the town, and that is when they started getting a lot of customers because the US health website talked about their services. They were very happy about it, and that was a very great partnership they had, and that was one of the turning points for this company. Now, when you work with partners or resellers or VARs or all these kind of channels, you are making 1 plus 1 is equal to 11. It's not 1 plus 1 equal to 2, because when you find the right partner, the kind of scale he can give is kind of immense. You can never get that kind of scale with your own sales team unless you put a lot of money to hire that kind of sales force. So, and most of the companies, typically the likes of Microsoft or SAPs, etc., a significant amount of their revenues and top lines come from channel partners. And it can vary anywhere from 30% to 90% of revenues of the company. And this is something which which is not applicable only for large companies. There are a lot of small companies who have done very, very successful channel programs. One of the best examples is Freshdesk. Freshdesk is a very Indian-centric company which started from India, but now they serve more than 30 to 40 countries. And they did not set up sales team in each of these countries. What they did was they found the right partners in each of these countries one by one. They set up one country with the right channel partner, kind of grew it up, then went to the other country and so on. And today they serve customers across the globe and without adding too many people in the sales teams. The biggest advantage is the fixed cost, because as a small company, you don't have so much of money to kind of put right in your sales team. So channel makes it very, very risk-free in that aspect. Now, some of the things which you can kind of do to grow your product. One is, people may not look for your product directly on Google or maybe somewhere else. They may not be knowing about your product, but if you can build some APIs or widgets for the products which people are already using, then you get a great ripple effect out of those products. So try to expose APIs of the product or modules of your product wherever you can without risking any kind of security. And try to build integrations with existing popular products which can build some kind of complementary offering to the consumer. If you're able to find out those right products where you can kind of create a widget or an API, again, you can get a large customer base of that complementary product. These are some of the integrations which different companies have done. So Spotify did a music widget integration with Facebook, and that was a very great turning point for Spotify. We do a lot of widgets for rewards, whether it is a Salesforce or a Zendesk. So for example, Salesforce is used by salespeople for tracking their performance. Zendesk or Freshdesk is used by customer care agents for tracking their performance. Now, most of these companies, output of the performance culminates into a reward. Now, if they are able to get that reward instantly through that product itself, then it's a moment of joy for those guys who are using it. So what we did was we built widgets for Salesforce and Zendesk and companies like these, where the output from these companies becomes an input for us. And these companies can immediately use the reward APIs which we expose to them. So it completes the cycle. We get each and every customer base which Salesforce or Zendesk sits on. And we also get a lot of free marketing out of that, because they will actually mention it into their API store. They will talk about it into their PR, et cetera, et cetera. Skyscanner built a travel widget for a browser, where right from the browser you can book your tickets, etc. So this again makes it very, very seamless for the consumer. They don't have to go to the Skyscanner website, and they can actually do it from there. Gleam, which is a marketing performance company. Now Gleam is not very popular, but what they did right was they integrate with almost every kind of content company which is there out in the world. So they integrate their APIs with Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, Pinterest, etc., etc. So instead of people having to know about Gleam, they can use their services right from any of these partners they work with. Then you can get into system integration. So the manufacturers of mobile phones do this a lot, where you get some system apps pre-built when you buy a mobile phone. Now, these are not very easy partnerships to crack, but at the same time, they are not very tough as well. You may not be able to partner with an Apple, but you can actually partner with a Oppo or somebody like that. So if you have a fantastic app which you feel that would be a great value add for somebody buying a mobile phone, then maybe try these kind of system integrations, whether it is any kind of device. Square, which is a payment gateway company, they did a fantastic integration with iPad, and that was the tipping point for them. So iPad was used by almost every business. What Square did was, instead of giving a POS machine which is done by Square, they actually built a small hardware which will sit on the top of iPad, so that every iPad can get converted into a POS machine. Now, Square would have been very, very tough in terms of sales if they had to sell their own POS. But since they made an integration with the Apple device, iPad, it was very, very easy for them to sell. Even Apple also helped them to sell it as part of a product bundling. Then there are hacks which you can do with affiliate partners. There was a very infamous illegal kind of a hack which Airbnb did in very early days. Now, these are times when people hardly knew about Airbnb, but Craigslist was very, very popular. So people used to search for rental homes in Craigslist rather than in Airbnb. And that is where whatever, any posting which Airbnb did on their website, they scrapped the same posting on Craigslist, so that they could actually divert the traffic of Craigslist on Airbnb. And this is one of the most popular hack which Airbnb did in the initial days of their company. You can actually leverage the large network effect and the customer base which affiliate partners sit on. You can get some visibility, you can get some kind of sale, so should be part of these kind of affiliate websites. Now, while we talk about channel partnerships in the online world, offline world has been doing the channel partnerships from many, many years. So you can talk about any kind of FMCG, FMCD kind of a player, and they have done so many partnerships across their value chain. Now, McDonald's did a fantastic partnerships for Happy Meal, where they integrated some of the Disney toys in their Happy Meal, and that increased the take of their kids' meals by 100, 200 times. So, because kids like these characters, and because of this, kids started coming to McDonald's, or they pushed their parents to come to McDonald's, and the sales increased. Coca-Cola, what they did was, their motto was to be present at the place of thirst. So instead of just selling the Coca-Cola bottles through some retail stores, they made a point that they should be present anywhere where a person can be thirsty. Be it a college, be it a office, be it airport, be it a hotel, a restaurant. And that is where they came up with a lot of integrations. So they came up with a tie-up with McDonald's, where McDonald's there was a contract where McDonald's will sell only Coca-Cola rather than selling a Pepsi or something else. They came up with the fountain machines, they came up with small packs, large packs. So they made sure that the consumer is able to consume their bottles or their drinks at any point of time seamlessly. Ford did a partnership with this media company Hearst. They wanted to position themselves as the tough automobile company. So they did some content partnership with this media company, where almost like 150 very, very specialized blogs were written or co-authored by both these companies together, and then they were disseminated. And this actually helped them to kind of position themselves the way they wanted to. We all know about the Apple watches. Now, Apple watches, when they launched, technologically people liked them, but nobody liked the aesthetics and the designs. Now, because people are still used to wearing those nice, beautiful watches. So what Apple did was they partnered with Hermes, which is a strap company, and came up with these Hermes strapped Apple watches. And now if you talk about Apple Watch's sales, it is much more better with a very small integration with this strap. A lot of companies do private labels where they get the product manufactured in China, etc., and then they just label it with their label. There are a lot of gadgets. There are companies which sell it on Flipkart, Amazon, where it is manufactured somewhere and the brand puts their label. OnePlus and similar brand stores are very popular in websites like Flipkart and Amazon, where they have entered into a very specific partnerships that this mobile phone will be sold only through my website. Now, these kind of things did not happen so very often before 10 years, but nowadays you find very exclusive partnerships both in online world and the offline world where you find a product only in a specific store. This helps to create the intrigue in the customer. It helps to reduce the confusion in the customer that where do you want to buy this product from? Okay, you go to this place to buy this product. A lot of Visa and MasterCards and bank cards, they do integrations with e-commerce or POS machines where they will give some specific discounts for a specific set of customers. So you keep seeing these things in a Flipkart, Amazon, Chroma, etc. Product bundling is another way where a boring product can be really sold and made as a need. One very good example is insurance. Now, selling insurance is very, very tough. Nobody really wants to buy an insurance and pay out of the pocket expense. But what insurance company did was they partnered with the point of sales. So can I sell my insurance when somebody buys a new car? Can I buy bundle insurance when I am in a hospital? So these are the hacks which these guys did. And now that becomes kind of a necessity. So when you are buying a car, you will actually end up buying an insurance as well. And this is how most of the insurance companies have kind of increased their sales. AWS, most of the people who are running startups here might be running on AWS machines. Now, AWS, one of the best hacks they did were, they were present in the startup kits for every kind of event. So whether you are participating into a NASSCOM conference or a Your Story or you are a member of CII or anywhere, you get AWS free credit as part of the membership, or you get some kind of a Google AdWords credit as part of the membership. Now, these are ways where these companies get some free trials from potential customers. And once these startups get hooked to these products and once they grow, now that point of time it is very tough for them to change AWS to something else. And that becomes a large opportunity for AWS. So the idea is to catch the client early in the sales cycle rather than too late, because the same AWS might find it very tough to kind of negotiate with a larger company versus they enter into a contract right into the time of inception of the company. You can actually partner with consulting companies. So you can actually co-author or write some kind of a white paper with consulting companies of your domain. So if you are working in a domain which is related with taxation, you can partner with an EY, you can partner with PwC, Hewitt, Mercer, Towers Watson. So there are a lot of companies in different domains, and they are hungry for data. They are hungry for insights from your consumers. So it's not that you are looking out for them, they are also looking out for you. So if you are able to crack some partnerships with some good consulting companies, they can talk about you. They can subtly put your brands into their articles or papers. And that's a very fantastic way of kind of reaching out to the right audience, because when these kind of people talk about your company, then it matters a lot. Then you need to belong to the system. So if you are a startup or a small company, then you need to be part of the ecosystem. So you need to be part of a NASSCOM or a CII or a FICI, because these are places where you will get the right partners. These are places where you can do the right integrations of different types. It can be content, it can be sales, it can be product integration, etc., etc. And you see a lot of these integrations in all these events from NASSCOM or maybe a FICI or CII. So try to be part of this ecosystem. Many companies restrict themselves very much to a NASSCOM or a IAMI kind of a membership because they are much vocal about their memberships. But the memberships of CII, FICI, AIMA, they also help a lot. Though these guys are not very vocal about their memberships, but they contribute a lot in your growth. So try to be part of these ecosystems and also contribute to the ecosystem. So it's always give and take. If you are always from a taker's mindset that, okay, I will always keep taking benefits out of all these places, then you will reach plateau, you will reach a roadblock. You also need to contribute. So if somebody is asking some kind of a help, try to give that time or help to that community, because that is only when the network effect will start. And try to help other companies maybe out of interest, not because you also have to kind of take something back from them. So this is a typical phenomena you will find across all these events. So if we talk about the NASSCOM event today and yesterday, most of us are kind of in a hurry to find the right guy to talk to. We will be in a hurry to kind of exchange cards, try to take something out of that guy. I don't think that is a great strategy. Once you come into the event, before the event, do some homework that who are those guys whom I should meet in this event. It should not be 100. Just meet 5 guys, but give them quality time. Take quality time from them. Discuss, because a 1-minute glance or an exchange of cards don't crack deals. It needs time. You need to sit across table. So leverage these events, but at the same time leverage them from a give and take kind of an attitude rather than only a take attitude. Piggyback on the larger brand name. So HubSpot did a hack in early days where they made a Twitter grader to kind of check your performance on Twitter. Now, today there are a lot of tools to check that, but early days there was no tool to check your performance, etc. on Twitter. So what HubSpot did was they made a small tool to kind of do some performance marketing on Twitter, and that gave them a lot of eyeballs. Paytm is a fantastic example. During demonetization, they were present almost everywhere where the money was not there. So that was one of the biggest tipping point for Paytm. When it comes to partnerships and business, forget rivalries, because keep your rivals separate, keep your business separate. So Microsoft works very closely with Red Hat for Red Hat Enterprise, and Google pays Apple so that Safari gets Google as the default search engine. So while business rivalries are separate, you still have to grow with partnerships. We at Zozo-Day, we do a lot of partnerships into different kinds. Achievers is actually our competition, but we still partner with them for India sales. We have worked with media guys like radio, a lot of TV channels where they take reward programs from us, and in return they give us some free bites on radio as well as TV. We do forward and backward integrations with HRMS softwares like Bamboo, SAP. We integrate with Freshdesk. So these kind of partnerships have actually helped us grow without spending too much of money. Most of these are very, very organic ways of growing, and they have worked very, very well for us. And finally, we as startups, we generally feel that success is easy and fast. It's not a T20, it's a test match. So be there for a long term. If you feel that you can grow in quick times, that growth is not sustainable. So when you typically talk about somebody who is going to a gym, so there are two kind of characters. There is one character who builds a very good looking body within 3 months. And then there is another guy who is taking kind of 3 years. But there is a stark difference between these two guys. The first guy is taking a lot of supplements, the steroids, and that growth is not sustainable. Whereas the second guy has actually put time and efforts into that. So try to take the second route, give time to whatever you are doing, give time to build your partnerships, because it's not like a one-night stand, it's like a long-term relationship. Yeah, thank you. If there are any questions, happy to answer them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Manoj.